It's Ryan Yarrow in the green and yellow car. Closest to the pit wall, the silver and red car is that of Richard Webb. It's not a good start from the second row for Clint Newman in 42. He's swallowed up by the pack, but it's going to be Richard Webb trying to go round the outside of Ryan Yarrow at the first corner, but he can't quite make it at target. So it's Ryan Yarrow that has the advantage from Richard Webb in second. Who's that going to slot into third place? We'll pick it up in a moment. It's one of the Mittal, certainly, as they turn their way out of the corner. It is the number 5 car, so it is Mittal himself, Scott Mittal, that is up into P3, joining in this weekend. 4th place at the moment is Paul Rogers, then it's the number 2 car in 5th place of Dan Clues, and then it looks like it's Clint Newman who made that rather bad start in 6th position. We'll pick up on what's going on in the Cup 200 MK Indy cars as well in a moment. But there's Clues and Newman going side by side. Newman it is who gets 5th place away from Dan Clues there as they headed into Rocket.
Yeah, that was brave stuff actually around the outside to get that place away from the number 2 car, so regaining a little bit of the lost ground, but having started third, Clint will be very disappointed to have lost those positions early doors. Clean run though through the first few corners. They head down towards the corkscrew at the end of the opening lap. And what is the advantage going to be for Ryan Yarrow? Well, not a massive one in fairness. He was nearly 4 tenths quicker than Richard Webb in qualifying. The gap at the end of lap 1 is 8 tenths of a second, so just under the full second. Richard Webb will
what a spin beneath us out of the commentary box window. It was the 46 car that was involved. That of Charles Wright, 33, was also involved. The two of them came together quite heavily. There's a red flag, the race being stopped. The 33 car was that of Daniel Ashby, and it was side-to-side contact as one of the cars had spun coming out of the corkscrew. There's 5-second board is now shown. The motorcycle engines starting to roar into life. Red lights go out and away they go, and it's not a great start at all from Ryan Yarrow. Or is it? Not a great start by either of them on the front row actually, but somehow they both managed to stay in the first 2 positions. Ryan Yarrow leading from Richard Webb then. It was a better start this time from Clint Newman though. He got it all wrong the first time around, but a better getaway from him on this occasion. Do they all make it through the banking safely? It looks like they do, and they are off and running. It's the 42 car there of Clint Newman, just ahead of Dan Clues, and Scott Mittal in number 5 in 5th position at the moment. So the Mittal in amongst the Spires that are out front here. It's the dark colour car, the black car of Scott Mittal there, trying to find a way through, but he can't make that work. Meanwhile, a bit further back, you've got the 28 car of Charlie Sladden trying to find his way past Colin Chapman. I think he'd made that work as well in the Mittal AMC 53. I think that's the ex-Danny Andrew car that he has. And through the Peel right hand they come, down towards the corkscrew they go. And this is coming towards the end of the first lap. It's Ryan Yarrow and Richard Webb. They are getting away, these two, from the rest of the field.
They are indeed. Now, 3rd place on the road is Newman, but he's been handed a 10-second penalty.
So he's got to start wrong in a different way this time.
He was a bit too quick that time around, getting off the line perhaps. So 3rd place on the road for Newman. And he's not the only one either. There's another 10-second penalty.
Paul Rogers.
For Paul Rogers. Now, was it not Paul? Oh, hang on, there's more drama at turn 1. 2 cars on the grass from further down the order, numbers 4 and 88. So 4 is John Murphy, 88
is Vincent Dubois.
Yes, it is. So those two have both been off at target. Now Dubois doesn't look as though he's getting going. John Murphy back on the track, but Dubois' car stationary on the grass, albeit a long way off the road, but could still be deemed to be in a dangerous position. So it'll be interesting to see what race control choose to do with that.
Yeah, and there's a marshal rushing over just to check that he is okay, the ex-Alfa Romeo racer. So we've got some of the Cup 200 cars here. It's Johnny McGill is in the midst of them there in the number 72 car, so he'd have been expecting to be a little bit further up the order than that. Johnny McGill, there's 44 Carl Austin going through, and 69 Ian Hutchinson. He rounds out the top 10. Then you've got Mike Whiteman Haywood, who's the de facto Cup 200 points leader coming into this weekend, as we've now got the safety car heading out onto circuit, and that will be to allow the recovery of Vincent Dubois' car. And just acknowledging there, the safety car is Scott Mittal, just raising his hand to let everyone know that he's seen it, and to let other drivers know who may not have spotted the yellow flags and safety car boards that there has been a caution period. I'm not sure that Richard Webb had seen it though, because he's just taken the lead away from Ryan Yarrow And now we've got Dan Clues going past Paul Rogers, and it's all a little bit of a mess.
Yes, I think probably because the safety car is not out on track, that's what's led to the confusion. But that's no excuse. There are yellow flags and safety car boards out, which clearly drivers should have seen. So hopefully Richard Webb gets the message. He's still not let Ryan Yarrow back through, and neither of them are hanging around, are they? So I think they're both sort of maintaining race pace at the moment, despite the fact that they're passing several marshals posts with yellow flags and safety car boards out. But
and there's a little what kind of gesture there from Ryan. What's going on here? So good luck to Kieran in sorting this one out in part firm afterwards, because we'll see how this is going to work out.
Well, they're now side by side through the final corner, and Yarrow goes in ahead, pulls aggressively in front of Richard Webb.
But now Richard Webb's retaken his position, so they've now both overtaken behind the safety car. And now Ryan Yarrow's gone back through again. It's all a little bit bizarre. And these are experienced drivers who know what should be done behind the safety car.
Yes. Yes, I think they'll both get a talking to after the race. But anyway, they do now come across the Renault safety car.
Dan Clues is still ahead of Clint Newman. That happened behind the safety car as well for third place.
Correct. Yeah.
So it's going to be a busy one in race control after this one, I suggest.
Oh dear. Right. Well, anyway, at least the leaders are back where they ought to be, I suppose. Within the Cup 200 class, by the way, Alistair Bolton's still leading that class, but actually the next car behind him is Mike Whiteman-Hayward in the 111 car, so that would be an interesting battle to watch when we do go racing once again, and we will hopefully see a good battle between those two. A couple of stragglers only now getting to the line as well, one of them being John Murphy in the number 4 car, who of course had his part to play in the incident at Target Corner. So safety car leading the field, around 10 minutes of the 15-minute restarted race to go, and Ryan Yarrow now back in his rightful position at the head of the field.
It's going to be probably at least one more lap, I would think, behind the safety car, because Vincent Dubois' car is only just being hooked up now by the recovery vehicle. For those of you that haven't seen Sports 1000 before, these cars use naturally aspirated 4-stroke motorcycle engines from Yamaha, Kawasaki, Suzuki, Honda, 1000cc superbike engines. Essentially, there's pretty much free rein in terms of suspension geometry and architecture, but there's control regulations on springs and dampers, etc. There's free choice of brakes, but no ABS or carbon or composite discs. Sports 1000, it's mainly mechanical grip formula, so wings are not permitted. There's tightly controlled aerodynamic development, and the gearbox must relate to the engine with which it was originally designed. And they'll use Nankang AR1 control tyres this year. There's a limited quantity that they can use each season as well, and that is all designed to keep costs down. And of course we do have the Cup 200 cars as well. These are MK Indies. They have a larger engine, 1340 cc engine, and they are a separate class within the Sports 1000, really competing for their own point, but it's been a category that's been developed over the past couple of seasons. Right, they've decided that another recovery vehicle is actually needed to escort Vincent Dubois' car from the premises. No, they have now got it hooked up behind the van and take it away. So I think that is going to work. They now need to move the recovery vehicle off the infield, and then I think once they've got all of those off the circuit, we should be good to go again. Hopefully, at the end of this lap, maybe. We'll see.
Maybe.
Yeah,
depends how quickly they get because they're towing Dubois' car up towards the banking, and there's no way off the track up there, which tells me they'll have to bring it all the way around through Church Corner, up the back straight, and then use the cut through onto the pit straight. So I suspect we're going to have another lap after this one, and the safety car lap is something in the region of 2.5 minutes. So we're going to have a bit of a short, sharp dash for the cash here, aren't we, at the end?
I reckon the safety car laps can be a bit quicker than that when they can be.
Yes.
So we might squeeze a few seconds off that. So the Renault Megane safety car leading them around. Ryan Yarrow, number 54, leading this race from Richard Webb in second. It is still Dan Clues in third, ahead of Clint Newman. And that, to our mind, did change once the safety car flags were out. But it's not for us to sort that out. That will happen in race control. We've got Yarrow and Rubb have sort of sorted each other out, but that doesn't necessarily negate the fact that you shouldn't have overtaken a safety car, and doesn't mean that there won't be further words and penalties to go after that. And this is only the first of 3 races this weekend for these cars as well. They've got one tomorrow morning and another tomorrow afternoon. So the cars, yeah, they're going to have one more lap, aren't they, behind the safety car, because only now is the Vincent Dubois in a position where it's going to sort of probably turn across the... is it going to turn right here? It's not going to turn right here. They're going a bit further up to turn across the circuit at the club circuit cut through at what used to be School Corner on the original Anglesey circuit. So take that across the grass, it'll come back into the paddock, and we'll then get a race underway at the end of this one. So it's probably going to be about 4 minutes, I would think, to go by the time the race gets back underway. Ryan Yarrow is on pole position then, the 33-year-old, or was on pole position in the lead of the race. From 33-year-old from Bury, he's an electrical engineer even. Started racing in 2018, he was the champion in 2021 and 2023. Did some karting in his youth. This is a Spire GT3 with a Honda CBR engine, and it's the ex-factory Billy Allbone car. He's got Richard Webb behind him on the track at the moment in number 8. He's a champion of Sports 1000 just a couple of years ago. I've not got that data in front of me, but I think it's 2022 he was probably the champion. Dan Clues in 3rd place, 50 years of age, control system engineer. He's been racing since 1994, raced in supercars, an F1000 as well, which he still does as well. And his car built back in 2022, this Mattel, for Dan Clues specifically. And Clint Newman next up, who lists Anglesey as his favourite circuit, or at least he did when it was the only circuit he'd ever driven. I don't know if he's revised that opinion since then. He's the 42-year-old postman from Bath, and he's in a Tim Gray Motorsport run Spire. So, good quick lap being done here by the safety car. So actually we're going to get a bit more than the 4 minutes I thought we were going to get. And we're probably going to get 4.25 minutes by the time, or maybe 4 minutes 20 by the time they get to the line. They will probably squeeze just about 4 laps out of this then. Over the line they go. Ryan Yarrow it is, leading from Richard Webb in 2nd, Dan Clues 3rd, and Clint Newman in 4th position. Scott Mattel 5th, and Paul Rogers in 6th place. Not any immediate changes upon the restart of this race. Last couple of cars still coming across the line now, but this is possibly where we're going to get that change. Clint Newman chasing after Dan Clues. The battle for 3rd position overall. Clint, who had a podium, I think, on his debut weekend at Alton Park last year, if memory serves correctly, looking to get back on the podium here as well. Of course, he does have that 10-second time penalty, which is really going to set him back here, so that's probably not a reasonable aspiration. He's up on the inside, though, and he squeezes through ahead of Dan Clues, and Dan Clues might lose out there to Scott Mattel, who runs his car as well. Scott Mattel has gone through to 4th place. Yeah, good opportunistic driving that from Mattel. Read that situation well. It was an aggressive move by Clint Newman, wasn't it? Just sort of rattled up the side of Dan Clues Mattel, and ended up costing Dan a couple of places, but really only 1 place on the road, as we've said, because Newman has this 10-second penalty hovering over him, as indeed does Paul Rogers, the next car in behind. Leaders across the line, then Ryan Yarrow. Well, there's another spin, and that is Newman this time, nearly in the wall. Just gathers it together, coming off the final corner, avoided that tyre wall, and continues on his way. We've had a few near misses in the last couple of races, haven't we? And Clint Newman, already with a 10-second penalty, has now dropped down the order, and another spin at the first turn. And that was Cutmore, wasn't it? From 3rd place in the Cup 200 category. And yeah, Cutmore with a fast spin at turn 1, but thankfully manages once again to avoid any damage and continues on. Right, so there is Paul Rogers. He is 5th on the road, but he's got a penalty hanging over his head as well, a 10-second penalty for a false start. And so that should promote Charlie Slazen, who's the car behind him at the moment. Slazen switching to a new car this year. But there's the 77 car of Al Bolton, a long-time racer with the 750 Motors Club, initially in Stockhatch at RGB, but he's gone on to race elsewhere in the likes of Praga. There's some radical racing, historic racing as well. The software manager from Cheltenham. He is leading in the Cup 200 class right now. 2 minutes only of this race left to go. Probably a couple of laps, therefore, for the leaders to sort this out between them. But there's about 9/10 of a second between Ryan Yarrow and Richard Webb as things stand.
Yeah, Richard Webb on that lap was fractionally quicker. I'm talking 200ths of a second quicker, so not a massive advantage, but at least staying just about within striking range. Through the banking then ahead to the battle for third place. Patel, Clues, Rogers next in line, and Charlie Sladden too, making it a 4-horse race as they turn through Church Corner. You can see Sladden at the back of that group, the blue and white number 28 car. Through he goes, looking to try and get a good run up the hill for the penultimate time and maybe make a move into Rocket, but I'm not really convinced he's going to be close enough. He's closing on Paul Rogers, but no, not quite within range of attack. Snatch of the brakes there for Paul Rogers as he turns into Rocket in 5th position. And quite difficult to follow closely in these cars, I'd imagine, through quick corners, particularly those such as Church. And that, I think, is making it difficult for them to make that move up at the top of the hill at Rocket. But another lap left still to try and make something happen.
Yeah, Paul Rogers, the 2011 champion. That was in a contour at the time. He's been racing since 2006. He's from Attleborough, not far from Snetton, now retired. Another ex-Billy Oldbone car. There's a few of those out there. There's Clues in 4th position. He's dropped back away by a second or more from his team boss, Scott Mittel, who's making one-off appearance here, and Paul Rogers behind him in 5th. We're going to get a change there, actually. It looked like Clues just about fended off Rogers through the banking. They're heading down towards Church Corner now. Sladden just behind them, and also Colin Chapman as well, who's another Anglesey aficionado, loves it here, the circuit and the atmosphere, and it's a great challenge for the drivers, this Anglesey circuit. Clock's counting down to 0 though, so it looks like we are going to get the checkered flag this time. Yes, it's being prepared down beneath our commentary box. It looks like it's going to go to Ryan Yarrow after a relatively truncated race then in terms of the number of laps of actual racing that we had, but he's got 1.2 seconds of an advantage here over Richard Webb. Down through the corkscrew for the final time comes the man from Greater Manchester, turns his way out of the final corner, and it's going to be Ryan Yarrow who's successful again. He will extend his lead in the Nankang Tyre Sports 1000 Championship. It's a 3rd victory over the year, a 2nd and a quarter over Richard Webb. Scott Mittel 3rd, Dan Clues 4th on the road, Charlie Sladden 5th, Colin Chapman 6th, Paul Rogers 7th, Clint Newman 8th. All of that before penalties are applied, although Carl Austin's now just, yeah, those are now being, I think, put into the system on our timing screen. And the Cup 200 winner has just come through. That's Al Bolton, and he's beaten Mike Whiteman Hayward by just under 2 seconds.
Yes, and a good battle for 3rd, I think that was, wasn't it, between Aloro and Cutmore. They were side by side down through the corkscrew, but Aloro just managing to hang on, 15th overall, 3rd in class in the number 83 car. So, yeah, exciting stuff further down the order, but really Ryan Yarrow never looked that likely to lose that one, did he? No. Certainly after the restart from the safety car, pulled a nice little gap, and Richard Webb, no answer, ultimately, wasn't able to get close enough to attack.
No, he wasn't. So a relatively comfortable win for Ryan Yarrow. As I say, extends his lead in the championship. And obviously with Rich Miles not being here, Paul Rogers being, I think, classified 10th in the end, it's going to be quite a healthy addition to his lead at the end of that race. Final car just coming through now is the number 22 car of Chris Barker. But let's have a look at the results. The win went the way, as we were saying then, of Ryan Yarrow, number 54. 10 laps completed in a time of 15 minutes 23 seconds. 1.250 seconds behind was Richard Webb, number 8. 3rd was number 5, Scott Mittel. 4th, number 2, Dan Clues. 5th, 28, Charlie Sladden. 6th, number 63, Colin Chapman. 7th was 44, Carl Austin. 8th, 69, Ian Hutchinson. 9th, 72, Johnny McGill. And 10th, number 43, Paul Rogers, once those times had been adjusted for penalties. Just outside the top 10 was Clint Newman, therefore. Al Bolton in 12.04 was the best of the Cup 200 cars, ahead of Mike Whiteman Hayward in number 111. Naeem Hack, 14th overall. And then you've got the remaining Cup 200 cars of Alex Aloro, 83, John Cutmore, 98, and after his off with Vincent Dubois in the early stages, number 4, John Murphy. Chris Barker, the last finisher, Vincent Dubois, a DNF. Cars heading back into Parc Fermé at the end of that race. The back out tomorrow morning. It's actually the first race of tomorrow at 9:30, a bright and early start for them after their barbecue with the marshals this evening. We're going to have tin top racing next. The Tagiwa Type R trophy cars are in the assembly area. We've got them, then we've got the Mini 7s and the Aim Shot Master 7, so 3 really cracking races in prospect in a row here. And then we are back to some of the categories we've already seen once today in the form of bike sports and the Armed Forces Race Challenge. Yet to see the clears, we'll see them out at about 6:20. And then we have the 116 Sprint Trophy and 120 Coupe Cup once again to round out the day. But the cars have been heading into the assembly area at the end of that Nankang Tyre Sports 1000 Championship race. Kieran Mogg will be doing his best to rally all of the drivers that he needs to talk to into position, and we'll be hearing from him very shortly indeed. Beautiful afternoon now here at Anglesey Circuit, somewhat breezy, I must say, and we should be set fair for the rest of the day. Tomorrow's forecast is for showers at the beginning of the day, but then I think rain disappearing around about lunchtime. Got the cars just about heading out for the next session, the next race of the day, which is the Tyre Tyre Trophy, which with the cars for this category do have a green flag lap. Let's head down to Kieran now. He's in Parc Fermé. Let's see who he's got to talk to.
What an amazing race. Thank you very much, guys. And we're going to chat here with our race winner. Fantastic job there. You really had to defend off there. So how was it from your point of view?
Yeah, I knew Rich would want to get past kind of on the start, so I knew that I'd have to be really good on the first start, and then I had to do it again. And then I had to do it again with the safety car, which isn't as bad because obviously you've got control of when you go and all the rest of it. But I knew that the pace was there, and my pace in qualifying was good and consistent. You know, I managed to do kind of 4 times that were the same, so I just thought I need to get a good start, which I did, luckily. But it's always stressful when you've got to do it more than once. So yeah, I'm pleased, obviously. Yeah,
no, definitely. And in terms of the circuit, obviously it's a little bit different than it was this morning. How are you finding the track evolution?
It feels windier. The heat doesn't do any good to these cars whatsoever. Tyres get greasy, engines don't make as much power. But yeah, mainly the wind, to be honest. I had a few kind of odd oversteer moments that I didn't have this morning, and then yesterday was a completely different day again. So you spend all day chasing setup on one track, and this place changes every hour. So it's an added complexity, I suppose. So it's a good challenge, and I love this place. It's awesome.
Absolutely. Well, congratulations on the win.
Thank you. Cheers.
Cheers. Thank you very much. And we've got the Tyre Trophy coming up next.